Hopefully this never happens to you, but what if your RV loses total power, no power at all? Your stabilizer jacks are down, your slides might be out, your front landing gear might be extended. How do you get everything retracted, maybe to get it to a dealership or get some repairs done on it? If you have hydraulic systems, there may be a way. Hopefully you're never in this situation, but have you ever thought about the possibility of maybe you're out boondocking, you're getting ready to leave, and maybe for whatever reason you've lost total power to your RV. Maybe you drain your batteries all the way down, you just don't have any power in your RV at all. What would you do? How would you retract your slides? How would you retract your stabilizer jacks and your front landing gear? And that's what we're going to talk about. If you have hydraulic slides and hydraulic landing gear, there may be an option for you. Now, the process we're going to talk about, to me, it's a last ditch, nothing else worked. Personally, what I would do first is maybe I would pull a battery out of my tow vehicle and use that to get power back to my RV temporarily. But if all else fails, you don't have any power at all, how would you retract your hydraulic systems? Now, in order to do this, you will need a couple tools, and we'll go over that, and then we'll also go over the steps. Before we do get into that, though, this is for our RV. We have a Lippert slides, and we also have they're hydraulic, and we also have the hydraulic landing gear and stabilizer jack. So all RVs are going to be slightly different, but hopefully there's enough similarities that we're going to go through that if you are in this situation, this might be able to help you out. Couple tools you're going to need. This is just an Allen wrench set. We're basically looking for the 5/32 Allen wrench. We're going to end up using this for our valves. We'll talk about that in a minute, but they will get inserted into our hydraulic valves to either open them or close them. Something else is just very common. This is just a Phillips screwdriver head. It gets inserted into a screwdriver. What we're really looking for, though, is the back side of this. So we're going to end up inserting this into our cordless drill backwards. This hexagon side will end up going into our hydraulic pump motor, and we're going to end up turning that with our drill. So this is, again, it doesn't have to be a Phillips, but we're looking for the back end of this. It just fits perfect. And of course, the other thing we kind of mentioned is just a cordless drill. That's really all the tools you need. The other thing you're going to have to be aware of, though, is you're going to have to identify some hydraulic components inside your RV. What we are mainly looking for is the manifold, the valve manifold. In our particular case, it's on the door side of the RV, kind of up inside where a battery bay is. The manifold is really kind of, you can think of it like a central hub or a router for your hydraulic fluid. That's really all it is. A lot of the hydraulic lines will come into there. Now, inside our particular manifold, we have 3 valves attached to it. These hydraulic valves, they're basically what they sound like. They're either open or closed. And what they do is they either allow hydraulic fluid to one of the subsystems. One of the subsystems could be maybe your slides, maybe your stabilizer jacks, or landing gear, something like that. So that's a hydraulic slide. In our particular case, looking at our manifold, the top right goes to our slides. And we have 2 on the bottom, one for the door side stabilizer jacks, and the other one is for the off door side stabilizer jacks. So that's what's mounted or screwed into our manifold. That's really it. There is one more valve that you're going to have to find, and again, this could be anywhere on different RVs, but it's for your front landing gear. Our particular valve is actually on the front landing gear on the door side, so it's completely separate. It's not part of the manifold at all. But those are the pieces that you need to find, you need to be aware of, and where they're at. Now, there's going to be 4 major steps to doing this, to retracting everything. First step number 1, is to retract your slide outs. Now, we already did a video on this, so I'm not going to go through all the processes for that. I would suggest watching that video first. There will be some overlap. We did talk about the tools and things like that in that video as well, but things will make a little bit more sense, I think, if you start with that video and then come over to this video. So step number one, we have to get our slides retracted. Again, this is using the manifold and valves and the tools we just talked about. But watch the other video so we don't have to go through the steps again. Step number two is to retract your rear stabilizer jacks. Now, the way this works is we're going to do one side at a time. First thing we need to do is to locate our manifold and then locate the valves for our rear stabilizer jacks. In our particular case, we're going to start with the door side of the RV, and that's in the bottom, kind of the center of our manifold. All we have to do is we're going to insert our 5/32 Allen wrench into the valve, turn it clockwise. We want to be gentle with this. These are valves. We don't want to break anything. So this is just going to be finger tight, hand and index finger. So we're going to screw it in clockwise. And what this is going to do is going to open our valve to our stabilizer jacks on the door side, which will allow hydraulic fluid to pass and retract the slides. Once we get that valve open, next thing we're going to do, we need to take our cordless drill with our key in it, and we're going to insert that into the hydraulic pump, the pump motor. Now, the pump motor, we're actually going to rotate counterclockwise. This retracts. So counterclockwise will retract our systems, clockwise will extend our systems. So at this point, we have our door side valve open. We're going to put our insert our cordless drill bit into the pump motor and start rotating counterclockwise. Now, this will take approximately 2 or 3, 4, maybe up to 5 minutes to retract both of the rear stabilizer jacks. It's one of those things, it might be a little bit nervous the very first time you do it, but once you go through these steps one time, it's really not that big of a deal. So once our door side stabilizer jacks are completely retracted, the next thing we want to do is to close that valve back, put it back to how it was. So this would be, again, inserting that 5/32 Allen wrench into the valve, and now we're going to turn it counterclockwise to close it. Once that's done, we need to do our other side, our off-door side stabilizer jack. So what we will do is insert that same Allen wrench into the other valve, turn it clockwise a couple of revolutions to open up that valve. Now what we can do is we can go back to our pump motor, insert our drill bit or the cordless drill, and again start drilling counterclockwise. This will start to retract the off-door side stabilizer jacks. At this point, again, we're going to go back and close that last valve again. So now our valves are kind of back to how they originally were. Now, if you can picture this in your head, all of our stabilizer jacks are retracted. We still have our landing gear, front landing gear extended. We need to attach our RV to our tow vehicle. Now, in our particular case, the valve for our front landing gear is actually on the front landing gear on the door side. So again, we can kind of follow the same process. We can use the same 5/32 Allen wrench, insert that into the valve, turn it clockwise, and what we're doing is we're opening that valve for strictly our front landing gear. Again, this is going to allow hydraulic fluid to flow into that part of the subsystem. Now, if you remember, when we insert our drill or cordless drill into the pump motor, counterclockwise will retract gear, clockwise will extend it. So this may take a little bit of play. You may have to go back and forth a little bit, but what you need to do is you need to get your front landing gear to hitch height so you can back your tow vehicle into the kingpin of the RV. This may take a little bit of trial and error. You may get it closed and have to readjust by either drilling clockwise to extend or counterclockwise to retract. Now, once you get your tow vehicle connected to your RV. Again, you want to, safety first. Make sure you log it. Make sure everything is attached correctly. Don't get in a rush at this point. But once your tow vehicle is attached to the RV, now all it's left to do is continue on and retract that front landing gear. Again, this will be a counterclockwise rotation, just using the cordless drill. Once that is done, you're going to want to go back to the landing gear valve and close it up as well. So now all of our valves are closed. They're back to how they originally were when we first started. Hopefully this isn't something you ever have to do. I did do this yesterday just to try it out and to show you. It's a little nerve-wracking. Again, you're kind of drilling into your hydraulic system and you're kind of messing around with some of your systems, but I'm really glad I did it. Now, if this ever happens to us out on the road, this is one option I know we have that works, and I know how to do it, and I feel comfortable doing it now. So again, this to me is a last option. If for whatever reason you can't get a jump battery or something like that, this would be a last option to get you on the road, hopefully to a service center, to get your RV fixed up. This is something I suggested in our last video, and I'll suggest it here as well, because I think it's really, really important. If you're anything like me, I need to try something first so I feel more comfortable with it. It's always kind of the fear of the unknown. So if you're not a full-timer, maybe your RV's in storage over the winter, or even if you are a full-timer or at some location for an extended period of time, you don't have to go through all of these steps. Maybe just do one of the steps. Maybe just retract your door side landing gear manually, the way we just talked about, just to try it out, just to prove to yourself that yes, it does work. You're able to identify all the parts, your valves, your manifold, and things like that, and you do have the proper tools for it. So something to think about, something that might get you out of a pinch one day. Remember, always live life to the fullest.